Teammates, we are back once again. If this is your first time listening to the Move Swiftly podcast, welcome to the number one podcast on innovative teamwork. Incredible to have you. Looking forward to having you back for more. To my regular listeners, you already know how I gets down. Mr. ABC over here, always be connecting. So it just so happens that a couple months ago at this point, you guys heard from Ali, who was the Peruvian life coach. That was the title of the episode. Go listen to that episode. So it just so happens that we met at a run club that was put on by, I think it's Pure Vita. Yeah, Pure Vita puts on a run club out here in West Palm Beach. And after we do a cold plunge and be in the sauna. So me and Ali were talking about the podcast and what we're gonna do. And then I'm sitting next to this wonderful, wonderful young lady that I have on today. Her name is Monica Gisella. She goes, wait, podcast? What you talking about? So, and she was telling me a little bit about what she does in terms of, the fitness, the holistic way in which she's been able to transform her body and all that stuff. So before I make the intro too long, Monica, welcome to the show. How are you?
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you
Yes,
for
I'm
having
happy to
me.
have you because, again, myself as a fitness guy, as a trainer, I still do a lot of boxing training now. I teach now currently. There's so much of what you do that I think is really, really admirable in terms of teaching people how to get their bodies right, teaching people how to eat correctly, teaching people not just getting fit is not just necessarily a physical thing, but it's more mental. And I think the best way to kind of start everything off is to just give us a little bit about your background, because I know you came from Colombia. You obviously had to learn the language. Things probably weren't easy for you coming up in order for you to
Mm.
really get where you are today. So, speak to us a little bit about your background, how you came up, and then we'll get into some of the business stuff.
Sure. I was a teacher before I got into Ayurveda, a fifth grade teacher. Uh, and I got into Ayurveda because I got really sick.
Hmm.
Um, so the background that I had, just, I grew up in Colombia. In Colombia, you kind of honor what the doctor says, lots
Wow.
of medicines, and although there is, the grandma's wisdom where you still pay attention to herbs and things like that. The
Hmm.
mainstream is it's very similar to here, the mainstream, which is go to the doctor, have some medicines. And I was dealing with some problems at that time.
Hmm.
Um, that were not going away with regular medicine. So I don't know, maybe listening to my inner voice and trying to figure out by myself what could not be just another band-aid, but
Hmm.
really get to the root of the problem.
Hmm.
Also at that time, to make things worse, I was doing bodybuilding, which is fantastic, for many people.
Hmm.
But for some women, it can be a lot. It can be very intense on their bodies.
Hmm.
So I was, working out twice a day and eating so much protein and protein powders and all these.
Hmm.
So that's when I found Ayurveda. Um, and what got me is that it was very natural and it was going to take into account not only my body, but also my emotions, the thoughts that I was having about healing or my body at that time.
Hmm.
And yeah, it was a very holistic approach that I had never heard about.
Hmm.
That was 2014.
Right.
And I started, practicing it, trial and error. It was not perfect. I gained some weight when I did that because it's a very intuitive approach. So I was used to measuring my meals,
Yeah.
to the T. And
Right.
then I was like given free range of what to eat and how much.
Right.
So I mean, it was meant to be intuitive, but it was very difficult to know what is intuitive.
Hmm.
Um, and then, trial and error, I became certified as an Ayurvedic consultant.
Right.
And the dream of starting Prana started at that time.
So, well, walk us through a little bit back to your when you became very sick. Now, you don't have to go into too much detail if you don't want to, in terms of how bad the sickness was. But I'm curious now because I teach at a school, at an elementary school, so I understand the taxing on the body and the dealing with the kids, especially at that age as they're growing, and you're dealing with your own personal situations. So, when you're going through that, how exactly do you find Ayurveda? Like, educate us a little bit on how you found it and what was it about it that said you're gonna stick to it? Was it that the drugs that you were taking were so bad? Was it a situation where it's just like, look, I have to try something because nothing else is working? Take us back a little bit in terms of those times because I was listening to you on a previous show and I could tell that it was something that people have to be patient with. It's not something that you're gonna expect quick results with or anything like that.
Exactly, yes. So to start, the symptoms that I was having, and you are totally right, when you are a teacher in the classroom with fifth graders, that was very stressful for me. It was very difficult to handle on a daily basis. I knew at that time I wanted to maybe when I was older
Mhm.
to have a more peaceful job,
Yeah.
but I
Now,
didn't know what.
did you learn English like immediately? Like, was that a
No,
how did you?
I
That's what I'm like.
I learned English in London. I lived in London for a couple of years.
Okay, I got you.
Um, yes. But anyways, when I came here,
Right.
my English was
Fluid.
not
Okay.
good. Still, I'm improving my English. You still know a word or two every every day.
Yeah, it
The
happens.
learning
I
process
mean,
never
I've
ends.
learned to get used to it out here in South Florida, so you're all good. You're all good out here.
So yeah, and then I found Ayurveda in internet. At that time, Ayurveda, now it's not that common, but it's still gaining popularity. At that time, it was extremely rare to hear somebody talk about your Ayurveda. I think my first connection was because of Deepak Chopra. So
Yeah,
yes, he
I know
was,
exactly who you're talking about. Deepak Chopra, he's the man. I love his stuff,
yes,
man. Oh,
yes.
yeah, yeah. There's that.
There was.
If we start going there, we're gonna start talking. But yeah, anyway, go
Oh,
on.
beautiful. It's
Deepak,
beautiful.
he just knows how to really, man. He knows how to really talk to your soul. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, let me not start on him. But go.
Yeah, totally. I feel related to what you just said.
Mhm.
I found first this meditation in YouTube. I was typing, searching for healing meditations, and his came up, and I started practicing like every morning. And
Mhm.
it was a weird meditation for me at the time. I didn't understand the concepts, and he said in the meditation, "Don't worry if you don't understand the concepts. Just repeat these words. They are
Mm.
gonna bring healing to your body." And then at the end of the meditation, he kind of mentioned, "Oh, and diet, depending on your body type, things like that." He mentioned the word Ayurveda, and I then got into it more deeply in internet,
Got
going
it.
from side to side. But at that time, the amount of information was not that
Mhm.
plentiful. It was limited.
Right.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's how
and
I got
well,
it.
to kind of give you guys some context about Deepak Chopra, who she's referring to, I remember there was a quote that he had. I think it was Oprah. He was talking on the Oprah show, and he said, "People don't grow old. When people stop growing, they become old." Right. So when it comes to what you're dealing with, right, and you're obviously again incredibly stressful job, you're trying to figure out your health concerns, you have certain symptoms. When you decide all right, Ayurveda is the thing for me as a client. When did you start to transition and realize, okay, I'm going to be able to teach this and then develop the dream of, all right, now let me build an app. Let me just go all the way in and personal train and fitness and just doing the damn thing. Now, new mama. So, walk us through that process and how you go from client to now it's like you pretty much have your own thing now.
I think the transition occurred when I found myself thriving, feeling so healthy. I finally got to that point where I could see, okay, so this is what intuitive means. I
Right.
got to see what the measurement of food was for me. It was for me, it was as important to have the feeling good, but I also wanted to look good.
Hmm.
I had for many years taken care of my physical body outside, not inside. And then with Ayurveda, I started taking more of it inside. But then it didn't look that good because, as I told you, I gained weight.
Hmm.
And one of the recommendations also for Ayurveda in general for some individuals is to increase the intake of milk.
Hmm.
And when I did that, my acne worsened. So all those things, little tweaks here and there that I had to do, and I finally kind of got it. I felt thriving. Um, and by that time, I thought I could help other people
Hmm.
get into that same place that I'm feeling so
Right.
blessed to be in right now.
Right.
And the next step before even the app was to start doing some consultations,
Hmm.
create a blog, and write about it in a blog.
Yeah.
Uh, that was the initial step before getting into the
So
app.
walk us through the difference though between, because you just said something that was incredibly powerful. Myself, that have I've trained people, and I get this question all the time as well. And I want to hear your thoughts on this. When you say taking care of your health on the inside versus the outside, can you walk us through the difference in terms of, what that actually means? How exactly were you saying, okay, this is me taking care of my health outside and this is my taking care of myself inside? Because a lot of ladies, they work out and they wonder why they're not getting the results. I mean, even though they're doing everything that they say they need to do, but for some reason they're not getting the results. And I've dealt with that quite a bit as well.
Totally. Yeah, definitely two different, distinct contexts. So the first one was when I was doing the bodybuilding.
Yeah.
And I was not listening to my body at all. I just wanted to get to a number,
Right.
measuring in the scale, taking the progress pictures, which I believe are important as a measurement to see how you're progressing in that journey.
Yeah.
But still, it was only focusing on how your body is looking. I really think that apps don't mean you are healthy at all. You can have apps, you see fitness influencers that are really fit and healthy and look healthy,
Yeah.
but then they come up with these things like you hear them in their stories, oh, I'm not sleeping well,
Yeah.
or they have issues with, depression,
Yeah,
things
no,
like
I'm
that. Or
laughing because I've always like, that's the one thing when I was playing, I hated doing abs, but that's the one thing I always wanted was like to make. I've always been kind of insecure about my abs, like because I was one of those, I was like, I want to be able to take my shirt off and really show. I don't want to, I was comparing myself to others. So I was kind of a victim of what you're referring to because I'm like, I need to get my six pack and all that. So,
Totally. And I think for women, sometimes it's even worse. We compare ourselves so much to other women,
yeah.
especially we see women in Instagram. We scroll down and we see these perfect women. We
Hmm.
forget, first of all, there are, tools to enhance your
Yeah.
image in internet. But also, yeah, apps don't mean you are healthy.
Uh-huh.
And that was the approach that I was taking with bodybuilding, really working out a lot, feeling tired. It doesn't matter. I don't listen to my body. I have a goal and I need to just get it done.
Wow.
Totally non-intuitive to
Hmm.
the point where I was, eating all these chicken breasts
Hmm.
that I was not into it eating anymore, but I still, you know,
Yeah.
pushed myself to do it because I had to do it.
Right.
And then you see the other contrast with
Right.
Ayurveda.
Exactly. I see it. And the thing, I'm
That
glad you mentioned bodybuilding because again, my time spent in fitness, you meet a lot of these bodybuilders who really do not care at all what they're putting in their body. It is all a results thing. It is all a I want to win my competition. I will eat junk, I'll eat trash, and they're on these like really specific schedules. And that was the one thing that I would see. I actually worked with a bodybuilder. It was at a gym named Nine Round. And he was actually telling me that like it's like clockwork. Every single minute you got to be this. And I'm like, I cannot result in anything good, even though you're quote unquote
no,
good, you know?
correct. Absolutely. Eating from plastic bags, Ziplocs and cold food. The important thing is,
Mhm.
that you get those calories in and you burn those calories out. And it just felt against my body at the point where I couldn't do it anymore because I just couldn't do it anymore. Like physically, I was
Yeah.
uh, just feeling so bad that
Hmm.
I had to take the other approach.
Yeah.
The other approach was so difficult to take because I had to rest, and I was like, resting is bad. Resting is
Yeah.
like it was the opposite of what I was
Like wired.
had programmed my mind to resting or doing yoga, not
Hmm.
doing so many workouts, or listening to my body. If I'm feeling tired, take some rest, drink some water, not go, go, go.
Right.
So yeah, totally different. And
So
in the sense, mhm,
the thing is, no, I'm glad you're bringing this up because one of the things, especially for anyone that's listening out there and that's interested in getting on a health, or like on the proper health nutrition or the proper diet, they can be fairly intimidated when they look at you, right? They can be fairly intimidated when they see Monica, the finished product. But you have actually something you have a lot of free resources on your website. You have a way of which they can take a quiz and they can really see where they're at and not necessarily be on to like, I'm telling you, ladies, do not take it from us. Do not get in this habit of comparing what you see of a person, but based on what you see on the internet. That is not a healthy way to live. And I'd love for you to kind of just talk a little bit about some of the resources that they can take advantage of right now that everything is kind of developed and there's a quiz. And then there was some things you were talking about in which you'll know your specific body type and then you know what to cook and stuff like that. I was like, man, I can't wait to have you just dive into that because I don't like I was again that's the sciencey part of it where I'm like I'll let you kind of take it away.
So yeah, with Ayurveda, the beautiful thing about Ayurveda is that it differentiates by body type. I had never heard that concept, and I was into it from the beginning. You first take a quiz, uh, um, which we have improved based on my experience with quizzes throughout all these years.
Right.
And you take the quiz on the app. The quiz is free,
Hmm.
and within 2 minutes you have the answer.
Hmm.
The questions may seem sometimes a little bit weird. We are asking questions about your emotions, how good you sleep, even the quality of your dreams, things like that. Plus physical, related to your body questions.
Hmm.
And then the result is going to provide you with either you are what type of body type you are. You can either be Vata, Pitta, or Kapha. And depending on those types, your diet should accommodate your constitution, your movement should also be accommodated and adjusted as well as your lifestyle.
Hmm.
And that's like the big picture. Obviously, when you get into each body type, you still need to customize those guidelines or those tips to your own body, to your own situation. Some
Hmm.
people may be Vata Pitta or Vata Kapha with a combination of them. This Ayurvedic blueprint is basically what you would relate to the DNA in
Hmm.
a sense.
Yeah.
It's so unique, and you have that specific combination of the three forces of nature. So a little bit of Vata, a little bit of Pitta, a little bit of Kapha, but one of them, most of the time, is more dominant in your body.
Hmm. So when it comes to getting your body type though, how are you how are you helping people kind of with their day to day? Because I can see you taking the quiz and folks kind of getting frustrated or not knowing how to really move forward. When they take the quiz, can you walk us through a little bit about what the next steps actually are? And it's probably like I said, based on whatever they get from their body type, but at least maybe some of your clients you can speak about what happens next after they figure out their body type and then they move forward.
That's an excellent question. And what I wanted to do with the app was to really give people those tools because when I first started, I didn't have them. You have to really research in internet, find a list of foods, for instance, that best fit your body type and go from there. You find some tips and that websites, but nothing like really a meal plan. And
Mhm.
I was so used to having something to follow, right, with bodybuilding, and I wanted something like that to be for Prana app.
Like,
Something that you don't have to worry about anything. Just get into the app, see your meal plans, see your workout plans, all adjusted to your body type.
Wow.
So when you first present or take the quiz, the Doshi quiz, you will then be you can get the free program to get a taste of what Prana is, or you can become a premium member.
Hmm.
When you become a premium member, that's when we give you the meal plans
Hmm.
and the entirety of the program. So the meal plans have the meals that you will require for each day in menus, different menus for the month.
Hmm.
But you also have the option to swap ingredients. Sometimes you don't like an ingredient, that's your personal preference. Or maybe you are a vegetarian or pescatarian, or you want a high protein menu because you are a woman that is in their 50s and you are losing muscle mass because with menopause, that's natural, and you
Yes.
want a high protein menu. So depending on those specifications, we create your meal plans. Also, the fitness plans are applied to your body type, which you can also change the schedule. We provide you with a schedule, and then you can swap. I don't want to work on Tuesdays. I want to work on, I don't know, Thursdays and Mondays or whatever it is.
Correct.
Plus a lot of lifestyle guidance.
Hmm.
So there are so many tools for you to really follow, but also to adjust and personalize and make your plans really yours.
Yes. Well,
Um,
I'm glad you brought it up because you're living the experience now. How does it affect women when they do become pregnant? How does it affect the body type and all that? Because again, that's something I dealt with quite a bit with the women who were just, I mean, almost in tears because they couldn't get their bodies back after the baby. And I've dealt with that quite a bit. So when it comes to your program and your approach, how does it affect women as they grow through that 9 months and all that stuff?
Even before that, when you have in your heart the idea to conceive, it can be nowadays, it can be incredibly hard for women. You've probably heard about women suffering from infertility issues,
Yeah.
lots of infertility, lots of women trying IVF
Yeah.
because
I've heard, yeah, a lot of that. All right.
getting pregnant naturally has become like really a challenge.
Yes.
So even before getting pregnant, I started switching or tweaking the nutrition a little bit.
Hmm.
I have a body type that tends to get more depleted, Vata dosha, and so I need less exercise. Even though I would like to get more, I do better with
Well, I
less
could
and
imagine you
present.
as a former bodybuilder, you are more on the side of liking to exercise versus taking days off. Mhm.
Totally,
Yeah.
totally. But then listening to my body do better when I take it more, more a soft, feminine side, and I work out just until a nice point. Um,
Hmm.
so movement was a very important part of it, trying to bring some softness, some yin energy to my body. And
Hmm.
also with the diet, I started including more eggs, more grass-fed milk products, yogurt and milk, and
Right.
more meat, which
Right.
can be a little bit against what Ayurveda normally preaches, but I knew my body
Hmm.
needed it to become fertile.
Right.
Um, Lots of bone broth
Hmm.
and things like that. So my diet really had to adjust.
Hmm.
Herbal supplementation as well. There
Right.
are some herbs that can influence the environment of your body. Ashwagandha is one herb that is very powerful for men, but it can also be can boost the fertility of women as well because it decreases stress and anxiety, and that helps the body get prepared for a new baby.
Yeah.
And once I started the pregnancy, and I knew I was pregnant, I started recording my videos for the pregnancy workout that is coming soon,
Okay.
that I can't wait to share. So
Wow.
obviously the workouts have been different from what I was doing before. You have to take into account things small things like Savasana. So Savasana, I normally finish my sessions with Savasana to ground your body.
Hmm.
especially for Vata and Pitta types. And Savasana cannot be done after like 14 weeks of pregnancy on your back because the weight of the uterus can
Right.
block blood flow and oxygen flow to the baby. So you have to adjust that. Things like that had
Right.
to be taken into account to design the program.
Mhm.
But yeah, it's a whole system of rituals as well that can be done to enhance fertility, to ensure your pregnancy is safe and it's to full term,
Yes.
and then worrying about postpartum as well.
Right.
Of course, nutrition has to change.
Right. So when you're kind of teaching this, right? Because you had mentioned kind of the disgruntled way in which you had to deal with modern medicine before. How soon do you sort of teach to young people? Like kind of go back to, I guess, to your fifth grade teacher experience. How soon do you start telling young people the right lifestyle and the right way to eat? Because that's another big issue is so often especially with the teachers, it drives me crazy when they do it, but we reward kids with junk food. We reward kids with candy. We like we make it okay or they do something well and we start giving them junk food when we just don't have to do that. So the question would be now, and I'm going to be very respectful of your time here, but the question is when it comes to teaching young people or sort of going against this culture that praises this junk food eating or gives reward with junk food eating, how do you address that specific issue with young people?
I think the best answer to that question is to democratize Ayurveda a little bit more to
Yeah.
make it more available mainstream.
Hmm.
Um, what you just mentioned not only happens with children, with adults as well.
They learn.
Now,
It's like
right?
a learned thing that they
Yes,
don't break the habit.
exactly. The issue with cheat meals. So you reward yourself with a cheat meal and all that concept that you pass on to your children. I
Mhm.
believe once you democratize it a little bit more and make it more common, children and young adults can become attracted to living a healthier lifestyle.
Right.
With with Ayurveda, that's something that definitely you can follow since you are a baby. I plan to
Yes.
study the constitution of my baby
Yes.
and apply the foods that I feel are going to be best for him. And there is this beautiful concept in Ayurveda
Mhm.
of like increases like. So the heavier you are feeling,
Yes.
the lighter the ingredients you have to eat.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you eat heavier and those attributes are the same, you are going to end up feeling heavier. So it's a very simple concept, but
Hmm.
very powerful that you can apply into in your for your food, for the conversations you have with people,
Yeah.
the environment you are in. So things like that can really affect how you feel and how you heal.
Right.
But I definitely feel like you can incorporate Ayurveda from a young age,
Hmm.
making it more appealing and less something like exclusive, just when you get sick and there is no other way to heal.
Right.
Most of the women that come to Prana app are maybe in their 30s on. So it would be beautiful to see a jump to younger ages
Exactly.
as, Ayurveda becomes more mainstream,
Well, that's why
for
I asked
sure.
that because as I'm thinking about you and you can have a new baby, I'm thinking about the formulas and what you're talking about with GNC and that powder and how we can potentially eradicate that early and early and earlier on. So the obesity, and again, I've been on record saying this so many times, you regular listeners probably tired of hearing me saying it, but the government isn't going to solve your problems. You can solve
Mhm.
your problems in the home based on how you raise your babies and how you raise your kids. So earlier I was listening to you before and you were talking about how GNC and there's all these powders, all these things. There's so much shit, there's so much stuff in the fitness world that it's so hard to figure out what's healthy and what's not healthy to the point where some people can go out thinking that they're eating healthy but not realize that they're putting a bunch of junk in their bodies and just again just not know like you were a couple years ago, just simply not know there's an approach for every single body type. And that's really where it's important is really educate yourself folks and understand the importance of holistically looking at things and biggest thing, and you're speaking from someone again that's been a victim of this. Do not compare yourself to others. Do not do it. It is
Absolutely.
going to be something that just ends in a bad way for you. So, Monica, like I said, I want to be very
Absolutely.
respectful of your time. Can you just tell people a little bit about what's next, what you got coming down the pipeline? I know you got a little oven roasting, bun roasting in the oven now, but business wise and all the things, can you just talk a little bit about your vision for the future?
Yes, well, the baby is growing and I feeling, bigger and bigger. So at this point, I'll be concentrating on my pregnancy,
Mhm.
having a healthy pregnancy. In the meantime, I'm very excited about re doing the pregnancy program, preparing everything to launch it,
Right.
probably by summer next year. And that's going to be the next program, but also there is a program specifically that's coming up
Mm.
for the Kapha dosha season, one of the constitutions.
Oh.
That's the program for spring that's coming also before the pregnancy program.
Mhm.
And yeah, we're excited. We're adding new features every time, every week. Basically, it's new features making it more customizable for people. Yeah, so it's basically keep working on Prana app, making it better, making it more enhancing the Ayurvedic experience for women.
Yes.
Yes, so that's basically what's coming up.
And what is the best way for people to get in touch with you?
Through the website, I think it's the best. There is a link there for support, goddess support, where we answer all emails,
Mhm.
or maybe ideas that you have for the app or questions about your constitution. You can always email us there, or you can follow me on Instagram or my Facebook group where you can get more content, free resources.
You
Um,
have a ton of that, a lot of blogs. I was reading a few
yes.
before.
Yes, and definitely downloading the app. More and more resources are becoming available for free in the app.
Hmm.
So it's always a good idea to have it there and have those resources and those free tools available for you whenever you need them. Plus the free program.
At this point, I'm starting the week of this going by. But at this point, by the time this comes out, I would have be doing regular boxing workouts at a park, and it's in Wellington. You can come out if whenever.
Oh, nice.
But if any of you guys are listening, again, download the damn app because you need it. And it's one day one day a week or we're gonna be doing it twice a month. So twice a month isn't gonna get you there. You're gonna have to be again approaching these workouts with a certain lifestyle. So I just had to put that out there. So, Monica, the final thing I do to close out all the shows is I want you to use your imagination a little bit. You are back to being a fifth grade teacher. You're incredibly sick. You're going through it. You're stressed out. The kids are yelling at you. This one's crying. You're solving this problem. This parent is upset with you. Pretend that that version of Monica is coming to the Zoom room. Give her some words of encouragement, and we will officially close.
I could tell that Monica to believe that there is a way out, to have faith and surrender to the flow of things. Things are gonna work out and keep looking, don't settle. You don't feel well, and you that doesn't mean that you need to just get used to not feeling well.
Mm.
Find an answer, but just take it easy and it will come. Just have faith that it will come.
And that's it. I have absolutely nothing to add to that. And if you're new around here, the reason I close out with that question is in case you are going through that specific thing yourself. We're here again to indirectly help you through whatever challenge, whatever the obstacle, whatever it is you may be going through. We're here to indirectly just help you get through that moment. So, all that being said, fellow teammates, continue to move swiftly. We will talk more soon.